Today on High Spots and Cheap Pops, it's WrestleMania weekend, and it is here, and we are bringing you all the up-to-date details on High Spots and Cheap Pops. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Silicon Steve Valli, and I'm here right outside of AT&T Stadium, home of WrestleMania 38. I'm not at my home in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, I promise. And on the other side, we got my man, VLADI. And we are super excited. I would say almost stupendously excited for this WrestleMania 38. Are we, though?
I feel completely stupendous.
Listen, the crowd's here. We have a beautiful crowd here lining up for the High Spots and Cheap Pops. Check us out on Lot. We'll be there all day on Monday when everyone's gone. That's the only time they let us stay. I don't know. But before we get into all the goings on, and of course, our picks this is our first pay-per-view, correct? Of the new term, or did we already do one?
Yeah, this is the first one, I believe.
Yeah, because the last one was, yes, of course, because the last one was where I took the Purple Nurple, and I will have the Purple Nurple in my possession by the end of the weekend. That's a whole other story for a whole other matter. Right now, we have breaking news. VLADI, head of the news department in this case. We have some news in the Wyndham Rotunda world.
We certainly do. As of an hour ago, we got word on social media that Wyndham Rotunda has the following statement. Quote unquote, I just got to Dallas, which is where you happen to be currently. This place feels so alive. It makes me feel alive. This week in particular has always been a huge part of me. God damn, I missed this energy. I missed all of you too. I'm sure some of you have questions for me. I got answers. Here it is. I'll reply to 6 questions in the next hour. Keep in mind, I hate ruining surprises. Hashtag Wyndham6. So he's answered a couple of questions already. And one of the questions that came out, now, first of all, it's pretty cool that he's there in Dallas where WrestleMania is happening. You still have the open-ended situation with who Seth Rollins might be fighting or wrestling at the main event. But with that in mind, we have one of the questions that was asked and answered was, how's your health seriously? And Wyndham actually responded. And this is, as a Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda fan, this is pretty uplifting. He actually says, I've never been more healthy, both physically and mentally. I have been able to challenge myself with projects that would have never been possible before. This is a happy time for me, but I have to be patient. Timing is everything. So that might allude to him not coming out for Seth's match, but it is great to hear from one of the most creative spirits that this ring has ever seen. And I'm looking forward to seeing him back. As you mentioned also previously that he's been working on movies and stuff like that, which is great for him. But for him to go and say that, that tells me he's looking to come back in some sort of way. And, you and I both have our feelings as to where he should go. And so we'll see where it all pans out. But, man, it's great to hear from the man, the myth, the legend.
Wyndham Rotunda, FKA, or maybe future FK meaning future known as Bray Wyatt. Interesting enough, he did hashtag Wyndham6. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. And of course, with that is going to be a ton of speculation. I'm sure all over social media already. People are saying he's going to be Seth's opponent. Again, Seth's opponent is going to be Cody Rhodes, everybody. And if it's not Wyndham Rotunda, and I guess he would be Bray Wyatt in this instance, Bray Wyatt would be the only thing that would not be a disappointment. And everybody else, anybody you want to talk about, everybody that Seth tweeted, if any was not paying attention to Seth's Twitter, he was tweeting everybody from Veer Mahan to Marco Stunt, formerly of AEW. And if you know about Marco Stunt, for those WWE fans, he's 5'0" and really Not a guy Vince McMahon would probably ever employ for any more than maybe 6 months to a year. I don't even think he'd get a Hornswoggle push, to be honest with you.
I don't even think he'd let him put the ring together.
But it's good stuff. It does not sound like he is ready to come out tonight, but he did say, quote, keep in mind, I don't like ruining surprises. And this is a weekend full of surprises, and I don't think there's a show that would fit him, anyone except for WrestleMania. Now, folks, this is a monster thing. Wyndham Rotunda hinting something, and now you can now it's a little bit more fun. And I actually might watch Saturday night now just to see if it's going to be Wyndham Rotunda or Seth Rollins, because now those get the juices flowing. Those get the juices percolating. Veer Mahaan and Shane McMahon would be a complete wet fart if either one of those are Seth Rollins. And by the way, they're not going to be, because Seth Rollins has tweeted them. Seth Rollins hasn't tweeted Bray Wyatt.
Nope.
Seth Rollins hasn't tweeted Cody. And taking a step further, a nice Asian reporter asked Becky Lynch about a guy named Cody or something, and Becky Lynch said that the fans were chanting Kobe because that is Seth Rollins' shoot name. First name, Kobe.
Government name, she kept on saying.
Shoot name. I mean, that's government shoot name. Legal name.
It's just strange, her saying government name. Like legal, yeah. Like,
they might say that. They might say that in Europe, though. Who the fuck knows? Maybe in Ireland. I don't know. But anyways, that opens up a little piece of our conversation as we go into WrestleMania weekend. And before we get into our picks, this has been the worst built WrestleMania I have ever remembered in my fucking life. Sorry, I had to say it. It's just a fact. And it is a travesty. Macho Man Randy Savage and Kurt Hennig are rolling over in their graves that the Intercontinental Championship is not being defended on the grandest stage of them all. But that is indicative to what they have done to that championship, having Shinsuke Nakamura hold it and not defend it for almost a year, seemingly. It's an embarrassment. And not only that, you're wasting Finn Balor, who has been it is beyond disturbing to me that Logan Paul and Johnny Knoxville are going to get major moments, but they're not going to give the Intercontinental Championship that moment. And you know what? That's just their philosophy. They don't give a shit about wrestling. They don't give a shit about any of it. They just care about you clicking and casual fans clicking to see what's going on. They are becoming a YouTube page, WWE. That's what they're becoming. And I just wanted to get that part out. The fact that those two championships, particularly the IC belt, not being
just to correct you really real quick. You mentioned Finn Balor. He's the United States champion, and Ricochet is the IC champion.
Oh no, I know, but neither one of them are on the title.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah. I was being vague. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's Ricochet's the. But either way, Finn Balor. I was saying it because he's as great as Ricochet is. Finn Balor is a household name within the WWE universe. Ricochet, I mean, the guy's jobbing every other week since he's won the title anyway. So what the fuck?
Why do they devalue that belt like so much? I cannot believe like wasn't that Pat Patterson's belt? Like isn't it shows me how like unsentimental Vince just is, and like Pat Patterson's one of his most favorite people ever on this planet, and he literally is wiping his ass with that belt on a yearly basis now at this point.
I think it comes down to he doesn't care if the wrestling matches are good anymore. Nobody cares. They want to put on entertainment. It's really becoming exactly the way South Park presented it when South Park did their episode about WWE. It really has come to that parody where the matches don't matter a goddamn bit. And that's something that is magical about professional wrestling is the dance that these people are doing. And you don't see them consistently. And that's the Workers' Championship. That's supposed to be the one where the in-ring quality of the in-ring action is supposed to be at the forefront of that title. And despite having a great professional wrestler, a great in-ring guy, Shinsuke Nakamura, they just let it fart in the way and just make sure Rick Boogs got over. That's all they cared about with him in that championship, is Rick Boogs getting his name over when he says, Rick Boogs. That's all that title was for, is to get that motherfucker over when he introduced Shinsuke Nakamura. Yep. And it's just indicative of where WWE is going. It's just like when pop music took a major turn away from bands and original artists and just started concentrating on NSYNC and all of those people. Instead of concentrating on the actual artists who are making music and creating music and playing their own music, they started paying attention to the overproduced, young, beautiful stars just to get the clicks, just to get the money. That's what they're doing. Great, good in-ring performing is basically a rock band or a popular original artist who plays music, and WWE is shunning them because they don't like that. They don't like that anymore. They want this overproduced, good-looking, hollow bullshit, and that's why the Intercontinental Championship, Ricochet, and the U.S. Championship with Finn Balor is not being defended, and it's a disgrace.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. As we go through the predictions, well, you and I could probably even just say that's another match that could have been off the show versus saying Finn Balor. I mean, hell, you could have had Ricochet in a ladder match for the IC Championship against whoever else at that point. And it's what bothers me as a wrestling fan. It's as if Vince and Nick Khan don't give a shit anymore about certain titles, ones that are nostalgic and ones that are sentimental. So you hit the nail on the head. I won't beat a dead horse. It is what it is, and that's entertainment.
And we go on to the WWE WrestleMania card. And so without any further ado, though, we already got through the Wyndham Rotunda news, possibly Seth Rollins. I think it's still mostly going to be Cody, but who knows? We go on to our picks. And I have to plug my phone in because that's where my picks are, for Christ's sake. I mean, I remember what I picked anyway. It wasn't any shot. We'll probably be very similar. So, and I'll go first each time if you'd like.
Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
You just have to read them off.
Okay, we'll do. All right. So we're going to go start with night one of all things. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. Raw Women's Championship is on the line. Mr. Steve Valli, who are you choosing in this Battle of the Titans?
Well, I'll tell you right now, Mikey, we got Becky Lynch. She's done a really good job as of late, doing a great job with the promos, getting people over, doing her job, getting people over, but they don't stay over unless they stay with Becky Lynch. Look at Doudrop. But I think Bianca Belair right here is going to do a great job right here. She's been great. She cut her hair on Monday. She's got all the momentum. I think Bianca Belair gets her redemption from SummerSlam of last year, and she becomes the new Raw champion, and Becky Lynch loses that Raw championship for the very first time in over 3 years.
I 100% agree with you. I also chose Bianca Belair. I think it's and honestly, I think it's a negative sign that you see Becky Lynch's hair getting cut on national TV as she's holding the champion. Like, to me, it's a tip of the hat. I'm like, I don't know what's going on there. There's a little bit of a change, but Bianca's going to win this one, in my opinion.
I was a little confused by why they had the hair thing happen the week before Mania, because usually whoever's over, whoever gets the last rib before the match loses that match. It's just one of those things. But I think it would be a disaster. I think Bianca has proven her point. She's had a great attitude. The fans are 100% behind her, and it's been really the best story in the women's division told over probably the last 6 months or so. And I don't even think it's close. So, but that's going to be a great match, and those women have done a great job. In fact, if any match on this card should be the main event, I think it should be this one. But they don't want to slight Charlotte and Rousey because they were supposed to be the main event, but their program didn't go so well, so they got taken from that. Why don't we go to that match? Because I want to get that out of the way.
Okay. Let's go to that match. The Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And I will turn it over to you because I can feel it coming.
I think Ronda Rousey wins.
Okay, I thought you were going to go off on her.
I've done it enough. I mean, she can't wrestle. She can't cut a promo. She's a miserable, terrible human being who hates professional wrestling fans. I'm just kidding. I don't know if she's a terrible human. I don't know her. I'm kidding, by the way. I don't know the woman. She's probably a real sweetheart. I don't know her. But she has disdain for wrestling fans. She's been handed the keys to the kingdom, and she hasn't worked hard enough to get better at her craft. She hasn't given a shit. She's entitled. She thinks she can show up and be good. She's terrible at what she does in terms of WWE programming. She always has been. And until I see further proof that she's going to work a little harder, she always will be. And you can keep her with Charlotte, but this storyline has been an absolute disaster. It was poised to be the main event of night one. It was so bad they lost the main event slot. That's how bad you are, Ronda Rousey. It's not Charlotte. She's handled it. It's you. And that's why the fans hate you, is because you talk shit on them, but you don't do the work to gain the respect of those fans. So it's really on you why they don't like you, sweetheart. She'd kick the shit out of me if I said that to her face.
Oh, she would destroy you. Absolutely.
Yeah. I would.
I mean, you better be careful with you being in Dallas. You might bump into her at the hotel.
I'm going to, well, luckily she has a restraining order against me, so it works out.
That's unique.
I made a comment about a foot back in 2019. I don't want to get into it.
Wow. Next on the match here is on the card.
Who'd you pick?
Ronda Rousey.
All right. So far we're going the same direction. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, part of the reason, listen, obviously, especially with it being SmackDown, Fox is going to love having Ronda Rousey with a world title there around her waist. They love the optics of that.
I can't wait till she starts getting booed out of every building again, and it's going to happen sooner than later.
It's going to happen.
I can't wait. Yeah. Then turn her heel. Let her be a heel. At least she'll be entertaining that way.
That's the only way to get her over, is just to have her just go off on people and talk about how she hates being there, but she's the best. I mean, that's pretty obvious. She should probably handle that. She's going to kick everybody's ass, not necessarily do it in a wrestling manner, and I'm going to do like a boring promo right now and tell you how good I am. It's the only way to get over her.
A botched promo, too. Not even boring. Boring and botched.
Yeah.
Well, she is going to be the SmackDown champion. We're all about SPAC in here. Have you ever been to SPAC? A beautiful venue out in New York.
I've never been, no.
Saw Dead and Company there. They're an improvisational rock band. Harkening back to our show. Go ahead. Moving along.
Next match on the docket is Rey and Dominic Mysterio, father and son, versus The Miz and Logan Paul. You want me to go first?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we probably are on the same page with this one as well. I'll go first.
I picked the Mysterios.
Oh, we're going to have a disagreement, sir.
Yes.
Why? All right, give me your reasoning for the Mysterios.
Are you locked in for The Miz and Logan Paul?
100%.
No reason, just a guess.
I think Dominic might show signs of finally turning on his father, and I think that's going to be a big key to it. And also, there's rumors that Logan Paul is going to continue a WWE career, so I don't think they'll have him lose his first match. So that's my reasoning to it. And also, I think Knoxville's going to lose to Sami, which I think is this tonight as well? This on the same show?
Let me see. That one is on night 2.
All right, we'll get to that when we go to night 2. But as of right now, Miz and Logan Paul are going over, and I think I'm going to have a one-match lead on this one. I'm pretty confident about this one.
It's good. I'm sorry, I'm choking here. All right, next match. This is going to be one for the ages. Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin.
I feel bad. I haven't watched a Drew McIntyre segment in months because I don't watch. Me and my friend Mark don't watch Baron Corbin segments. So seemingly there's some dissension though between Madcap Moss and Drew McIntyre. Madcap Moss's jokes are not funny to Corbin. Rather, I apologize. I think there's going to be some dissension there. Also, McIntyre needs his redemption, even though he's been beating these guys up for months now. But he's going to need his final redemption. They just needed something to do with Corbin and McIntyre. Let's throw them together. McIntyre wins this one.
Agreed. McIntyre for sure.
Card sucks.
We're there together. Yeah. Next match. SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. We have none other than the Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs.
I think the ones win this one. I think that the Samoan dynasty continues to dominate, And I think that might be a kind of a theme throughout the weekend. But I do think the Usos win. I don't think Boogs and Nakamura beat somebody, member of the Tribal Chief, after they had a run, because they've had those titles for a little while now. I think they're gonna have to lose those titles in a little bit of a better built story, and maybe an actual tag team, not just some dude who's been introducing another guy and they haven't wrestled at all. So
yeah, it's a shitty state of affairs with WWE that they're basically having a tag team SmackDown Tag Team Championship match because you have a bodybuilder that can play guitar.
Not very well either.
Not well, and I don't even play guitar, and I can tell that he sucks.
He's whatever. He fucks around on it. It was something he probably whatever. Look, he's entertaining. He's gonna be a star. He has everything Vince wants. He's got charisma. He's got a good body, and he's got a mustache that just looks good for riding.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that formula definitely worked for Elias.
Well, he had a full beard, sir.
Played guitar.
It would have worked for Elias unless he was booked to oblivion. He was on the rise, and then they did this comeback where he turned heel on Jeff Jarrett for whatever reason that was, and he was done after that.
Yeah, and
oh my God, so bad.
I don't know if you saw the rumors, but they just filed a trademark and people are sort of tipping their hat towards Elias. The name for the trademark was a Prince Elton.
Yeah, something
Elton
of that
Prince.
nature.
Elton Prince, I think it might have been. He's gonna come out playing the piano, man. Like Elton John out there.
Great. All right, so I picked the Usos on this particular match. We spent way too much time on Rick Boogs today.
Yeah. All right, next match, another tag team match. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. No longer King Xavier. He is now Xavier Woods versus Sheamus and the neckbreaker, Ridge Holland.
Why is this match on WrestleMania?
Why not?
Jesus Christ. I guess I'll take the SmackDown I'll take a mid-match I've seen on SmackDown 15 times already. I mean, come on. This is horrible. Why this? But you can't get the Intercontinental title on. Okay.
Can't squeeze that in.
Because you have the new look, and I think that the Irish and the European boys are getting a push. I'm going to take them. I think Midday also might have a little bit of a problem. Maybe there's a little bit of dissension between those two because Biggie may never wrestle again. I think he will. I think he'll be back okay. But for the foreseeable future, it's just those two. They don't need to be together anymore. So I think maybe you start seeing a little bit of a turn. So I'm going to take the heels in this position. And I'm going to take the Irish boys with their little English buddy,
Butch.
Hello, Governor. Hello, Governor. Make sure you don't break his neck too there, Governor. You're supposed to throw a little better than that, silly. This ain't lacrosse, dumbass.
You and I go our separate ways on this one. I am choosing Kofi and Xavier.
That might be a good match because I could see the New Day being really over and everyone loves them and they have like a spot where they'd be really happy. But I could also see that match being a 3-minute squash match because someone ran overtime. So that's one of those matches. It might even make its way to the opening. They've done this before. It might even make its way onto the opening. It really might. Seriously.
Yeah, I feel it's going to be like my feeling when I saw this, the way it was booked or the way, it is on the card. I'm like, this might be a feel-good moment. They tipped their hat to Big E, that sort of thing. That's why I chose them.
I think you might have a point there. You might win. I think I just screwed up.
Hey, you know what? You're the owner, proud owner of the Purple Nurple, so I'm the one that's playing catch-up here.
I didn't think Wardlow was going to win that ladder match when I picked him though, and I thought you actually I thought Orange Cassidy was the right way to go, so I got lucky there. So
yeah, and then Thunder Rosa screwed me too. So all right, finally the main event: Seth Rollins versus none other than the infamous TBA. To be announced.
So these are your two choices. Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, from Parts Unknown. Yeah, but that was it.
These are the two choices. Clearly, it's either Bray Wyatt or it's Cody Rhodes. I am of the belief it's Cody Rhodes. unless they went out of their way to move heaven and high water, because everybody on the internet is saying it's Cody Rhodes, it's Cody Rhodes. Stupid WWE are acting like it's not Cody Rhodes. Did Vince McMahon go into his deep pockets and say the only person that would not be a disappointment would be Bray Wyatt? And do they give Bray Wyatt a shitload of money for this match? Either way, whoever it is, Cody or Bray, they are beating the Messiah, is that what he is? Or the visionary, the architect, whatever you want to call Seth Rollins, the laughing hyena. I like to call him the best in-ring performer in WWE, Seth Rollins. Rollins is going to have a WrestleMania moment at his expense, and whoever the case may be, whoever it is, they're not losing to Seth Rollins.
Yep, I 100% agree. I picked Cody as well.
So, and by the way, we have to understand, how many stunners is Steve Austin going to give Kevin Owens? That's the big question.
What's the over-under?
3.
How many is Owens going to give Steve Austin?
You want to just do stunners, over under on stunners? This does not have to be part of the competition, but it's just something fun. I say Austin gives him 3 stunners. Owens might give him 1. So I think 4 stunners total, but I think Owens gets 3 stunners.
Yeah, that's the number I would have chosen. You know what? I'll go 4 for 4 Horsemen.
Beautiful. Just to be different, but it's all right. It doesn't count. All right, so night 1 is in the books. And we want to thank WWE and whoever the creative is for not putting Ronda Rousey and Charlotte at the top of the card. You guys, at very, very, very oftentimes, are wiser than we give you credit for. Thank you so very much. Please bury Ronda Rousey somewhere in between the middle card, because she is not entertaining at all, and I literally will not watch her match, nor will I watch the Baron Corbin match. Me and my friend Mark are going to not watch those.
It's good. It's very good.
We go on to night 2, which many people consider the very, very much so the stronger night of the 2. And of course, the top of the card is going to be Lesnar and Roman Reigns, which is not really a big surprise on who's going to win that one either, I'm assuming. But, Lottie Dottie, you are the quarterback here. WrestleMania weekend, night 2, the big one, and we're off.
We're going to lead off with the Women's Tag Team Championship match, where you have quite a few teams here. You have the champions in Carmella and Queen Zelina versus Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler versus Naomi and Sasha Banks. So if you want me to go first, I'll go first. If you want to go first, by all means.
I'll go first. For as far as I'm concerned, I usually kill WWE in the way they book their women's division, particularly their women's tag division. They've actually done a really good job in 2 weeks to set all these up. They really have done a good job. All teams have something really cool about them. Natalya and Shayna Baszler, they're kind of like the specialist, the submission guys, with a grizzled veteran, but also the badass woman. You have this beautiful odd couple, but super cute together, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. You have really ultra charisma, really seemingly getting over pretty nicely, Sasha Banks and Naomi. And then, of course, you got the tag team champions, Zelina and Carmella. All 4 of these teams really are great. I have no problems with all 4. I like them to stay teams and then build a division around all 4 of them. They could all do that. With that being said, this is one of those that could be a crapshoot. Don't forget, we had Matt Cardona, FKA Zack Ryder, winning an Intercontinental title match that he had no business winning. But it's his big moment, his big WrestleMania moment. God bless him for it. So it could be anybody. I'm going to take Naomi and Sasha Banks just because Naomi's been busting her ass on there, and Sasha Banks is as over as a woman could ever be, no matter how little she wrestles. So I'm going to take Sasha Banks and Naomi to win the tag team championships and bring them over to SmackDown.
I 100% agree with you. That's who I chose as well. And it's sort of ties a ribbon on what Naomi's been going through for the past year with Sonya Deville. Feel good story. She's there with a legit talent in Sasha, and plus those two have history. Who could forget the faction that those two had with Tamina? Remember that? So they have some history, right?
Were they called Bad something?
I forget.
Too Bad? Too Sexy? Or no, that was Jerry Lawler's kid and Fireman.
Bad Company. That was a band from the 70s, right?
And also a song.
Yeah, true.
Till the day I die.
Man, your talent just oozes on this podcast, and I love every second of it. Oozes.
I'll give you something to ooze. I'm thinking of Dee Reynolds when she was singing about that on. Anyway, edit that one out.
Next match.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll edit that out.
So next match will definitely have us get feeling nostalgic for Savage and Steamboat. We got Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn.
I think Sami Zayn goes over on will probably be a pretty entertaining. Look, we've killed WWE for putting all these celebrities and atop their particular titles, particularly Finn Balor and Ricochet and IC belt, particularly me for the IC belt. But this is going to be entertaining. Sami Zayn has done everything he can to get this any juice. It's a silly little side story that's not going to make any sense. No one's going to give a shit about it in 5 years. Honestly, I don't know how many people give a shit about it now, but Sami Zayn has been busting his ass to get this storyline over. He's on social media, making out like random people are calling him. So I think Sami Zayn goes over here, though. Somehow he finds a way to win, because you're not going to have, perhaps maybe even Steve-O or one of his jackass brethren turn on him. Who knows? But who gives a shit, really? But Sami Zayn.
I chose Johnny Knoxville.
That's where we're at. Johnny Knoxville's going to beat Sami Zayn.
I'm sorry, man. I have a feeling Vince can't help himself. And this is just going to add to the victim mentality of Sami Zayn's character, is my thinking. It's conspiracy, blah, blah, blah.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong, too.
I don't want to talk too much about that match, because that match is just a jerk-off, idiotic match.
Yeah, I know. No reason to waste breath on it.
It'll be fun, though. I just hope it's not 20 minutes worth of fun.
Next match, we have none other than Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory.
This one's interesting because Shane McMahon is in Dallas, as many people have reported, and you would assume this is where, if he was to make an appearance, he would make an appearance during this match, because he is not facing Seth Rollins on Saturday night. I don't know. Do they put Pat McAfee over on an active wrestler? Do you want to do that, especially a young one like Austin Theory? I'm not sure. That being said, I think McAfee has a great match, but I think McAfee jobs, and I think Shane McMahon is the reason. Austin Theory is your winner in this one as well.
You and I differ on this one. I picked McAfee, and I think it's because Shane costs Theory the match.
Oh, God. I hope you're wrong. It's horrible creative. Damn it!
But Vince, the final decision's yours.
Damn it! All right, well, there we go. So we are actually differing. I think we have 4 differences already. So this is going to be interesting. This could be a bloodbath, or it could just be whatever, but very interesting. Usually we don't differ, and I thought these were layups. So I'm surprised we have so many. But notice they're always in WWE. Our differences are always the jerk-off mid-card matches that no one cares about. That is where, because it's you can throw a dart and pick right, because you don't really know, because there doesn't make any sense. Story arcs don't make any sense.
None.
So
what whatsoever.
Yeah, but we'll see.
And you know what? This next one is actually the one I'm probably most interested in. It's for the Raw Tag Team Championships. We got Randy Orton and Matt Riddle versus the Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. If you want me to go first, I'll go first.
Daddy. Don't you call him Matt Riddle, you son of a bitch. He's just Riddle. I own him, and I own his name, because I am the man with the giant grapefruits. Okay?
That's true. They are
okay,
good.
pal. God damn it. I am going with RK Bro. I think they're going to open the show with them. And then the next night, the Street Profits are going to turn heel on them full blown. They're already showing signs. But I don't think it's going to happen at WrestleMania. I think RK Bro opens the show on Sunday, get the crowd in a good moment, and they continue their love story. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And honestly, they're probably the most over babyface in the company collectively.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I picked RK Bro as well. I think it's going to be like a feel-good moment for the Viper at WrestleMania. It's not going to be like an insane, crazy guy thing. It's going to be like, hey, you know what? Like, he's got a bond with this guy, and, they're enjoying themselves, and they're going to share this moment. So that's the way I think they're leaning as well. I totally agree.
But it's WWE. They might have Johnny Knoxville open and beat Sami Zayn. So there we go. So, all right, we are in agreement there. Let's move along. And is it the big one next?
No, it's not. We have two more, and then we get to the big one.
Oh, that's right.
Let's go with Bobby Lashley versus Omos.
Bobby Lashley.
That's who I chose as well. But you know what? Even though we're choosing the same guy there, I could see this match being the double DQ where they both save face, blah, blah, blah. But I'm choosing Lashley too.
They don't do that a lot at WrestleMania. They used to. They used to have like a mid-card match, but we'll see. I don't know. I think disqualification at this day and age is not easy to let the crowd go. The crowd can get really hot. Yeah. How did the crowd react to Bobby Lashley on Monday night? I did not see the replay.
Yeah, they were actually sort of cheering him on because, the size difference is pretty impressive between, like, Lashley's a huge dude.
Yeah.
And he looked mediocre, like, size-wise against Omos. So, Lashley, and plus he's coming back from an injury and this and that. So, they were feeling it for Lashley. I could tell that they were siding with him. So a bit of a face thing.
He was acting like a baby face anyway. He was coming down, shaking hands, and being he was basically a baby face the last couple of months, despite what anyone wants to say. I mean,
yeah,
he was slapping slapping fives with fans. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So then the next match I think we're going to get into, that's going to be AJ Styles and Edge. And
yes,
that's one match that I think, okay, this is the match for those of you who want the bell-to-bell, great story, two great professional wrestlers. This is the match that you can hang your hat on. And it's really the only match you can hang your hat on the entire weekend.
Yeah, I'd agree. As far as single competition, absolutely. We mentioned the RK Bros match because I think Montez Ford is going to go and make his mark this weekend. But reeling it back with this singles match, absolutely. Edge versus AJ Styles. This is one of the guys from the Attitude Era going against one of the most gifted wrestlers all time. And I just hope they'll leave it all out there. This should be excellent. This should be a 5-star match by Mr. Meltzer. High expectations on this. And I am going to go and choose Edge.
I would agree with that. I think I picked Edge as well because I think he's lost a couple of high-profile matches recently, even though he beat Seth in the Hell in a Cell.
Yep.
The other flip to that, though, to play devil's advocate, is that AJ needs a win here. He needs a win in a bad way. He was being basically Omos's bitch for a year. But with Edge having this character change, I think him losing the first match to the character change would deplete it. I think this is going to be the first of a couple different matches. I think they're going to have a little bit of a program here. But I do think I'm with you. I think Edge wins this first one and I do think it's going to be a very good match, but it's a little pressure on AJ. Because if you go back and you look at AJ hasn't had that definitive paramount moment in WrestleMania. He's had his opportunities, but the Shinsuke and AJ, the Shinsuke match fell a little flat on expectations. The match with Shane fell flat on any expectations for AJ Styles, even though Shane did his job and Shane did all right, but it still wasn't an AJ Styles caliber match. The Jericho match wasn't really the best match you'll ever see either. And I'm trying to think of, and obviously last year he was with Amos, so he was handcuffed. So in that light, AJ needs a really good match here to really cement his legacy, and I believe. And he shouldn't need it because of all the great career he's had since being in WWE. But
Yep.
where's that 5-star classic match where he steals the show at WrestleMania? He did have the Undertaker's last match, but that was obviously cinematographic. Is that what they call it? So AJ needs a big time 5-star match at WrestleMania. Edge has a couple of those, a number of those actually. You know, you can go back to the TLC matches, and of course Mick Foley, Undertaker. I mean, the Edge has as many WrestleMania moments as pretty much anybody outside of Cena and Hogan.
Yeah.
So Edge is going to try to give AJ Styles a moment, and it really is that, because Edge is the bigger star overall, and this is a big match for AJ. Let's see what he does. So, but I think Edge wins.
I agree with you. And here we are at the final match, the main event of the entire weekend. Not that we've ever seen it before. Wink, wink. The unification of the world title and the universal title is at stake. We have the tribal chief against the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. What say you, still, Count Steve Valli?
I don't think this is even close to a question. This is going to be they are going to be only the second duo to. Actually, they're the only duo to main event all 3 times, because we know The Rock and Austin did not main event their last match. So this is the only duo to ever main event WrestleMania 3 times. It has not been pretty, to say the least. First match was pretty good. It was kind of typical to what Lesnar was doing at the time, beating the shit out of people, and they would make a comeback. But it was good. But then, of course, Seth Rollins turned it into one of the most legendary moments in WrestleMania history. So, okay, kudos, but Seth made that moment. Their second WrestleMania match. And by the way, there were one-on-one matches sprinkled out the entire time. So we've seen this match probably a dozen times the last 7 years. The next time they wrestled, the fans chanted boring during it, and they popped when the heel won because they were happy the match was fucking over. So these guys have a big moment ahead of them to right that wrong, that embarrassment that was their last match. The problem is, while not as many people are as super excited about it, is because they just wrestled 3 months ago at a pay-per-view in December of last year in Saudi Arabia. But with that said, Brock Lesnar has been extraordinarily entertaining. He's been a full-time player. He's been great. So he's going to take some time off. So there's no damn way he's beating Roman Reigns. Roman finally gets the victory over Brock Lesnar and cements that legacy, cements as the greatest Universal Champion ever. Roman Reigns does win this match. There will be some chicanery, but it will also probably be the last time we see Brock Lesnar for at least a number of months, probably before a run to SummerSlam. But what a run Lesnar has had. Kudos to him. I'm looking forward to this match, despite it's probably going to be formulaic. What's that word?
It has a formula.
Formulaic. It'll be formulaic with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Roman will probably get some kind of advantage early by cheating and get a lot of heat that way, where he does this thing where he beats the crap out of the guy for 10 minutes methodically. What do you think's more methodical, his entrance or his heat that he gives out? They are both just fast forwarding at this point. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the entrances just take forever on all accounts, but especially his.
Well, WrestleMania, I'm not going to mind so much, but every single time he comes to cut out a promo, it's a 5 to 6 minute time before we even talk.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What are the chances of this, right? You and I both agree that Roman's going to win. After Brock leaves the ring, what are the odds that you hear The Rock's theme hit and The Rock comes out and has a stare down with Roman?
I think it's possible. I think that would be amazing. I don't know what The Rock's doing these days. I mean, the problem with The Rock is he's always filming a fucking movie or a TV show.
He's always working.
Or launching a new business. I mean, the guy is incredible. Yeah. I mean, and not only that, putting out gym videos every single morning as well, making me feel like a piece of shit because I only run 1.5 miles on the treadmill 4 times a week. You know, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I have a feeling that I think there's a good chance that he shows up, and this is a precursor for next year's WrestleMania in Los Angeles. And that place would go effing nuts if they were able to see Stone Cold and The Rock on the same weekend. And I would have to think that Vince is begging him to make an appearance like this. And then you have that iconic stare down, almost like Rock and Cena, where in a year it's going to happen. It's just what happens in between is, they just have to fill that in. This has all the makings of that same thing. And I really hope. I mean, that would be a great way to, and it's sort of just, it gives people something to talk about. They're hoping maybe he shows up Monday night. I don't think that'll necessarily happen. I just think that we got something, sort of a precursor to next year. So that's my feeling on it.
Well, I mean, they have an opportunity, despite the shitty build, to have a really good show and a really fun weekend. They really do. And if The Rock does that, that would really, with everything else we talked about, with either whoever Seth Rollins is facing, whoever it is, if it's either Cody or Bray, it'll be a very big deal and it'll be awesome. And then if you have Steve Austin there, and he'll give out a few stunners. Then to top all that off with The Rock precursing next year, which I think everyone thinks was going to happen. Not everyone, but a lot of people in the know thought was going to happen. I think that you would have to consider it a very good WrestleMania weekend, despite the shitty build. And that's the thing. It's such a low build, and people are so not excited for it. It's good for them because I think the bar's a little low this year. So maybe.
Absolutely.
That's usually when the WrestleManias aren't bad for me. I remember thinking I was going to be really disappointed in a couple WrestleManias, and I wound up really being happy with it. And then conversely, sometimes I was really excited for WrestleMania, and it really wound up being a dud. One time I can remember was WrestleMania 2000, where really was a dud, with the exception of the first TLC match. That's just off the top of my head. So.
Right.
So I think it could be a really good weekend for WWE. And as Paul Heyman mentioned in a recent interview, it's a big spectacle. It's a big to-do. Tuxedos, the whole nine. And the buzz around WrestleMania weekend throughout professional wrestling. We talked about Supercard of Honor on our previous show. It's going to be a fun weekend. And let's appreciate WWE for putting all the eyes on professional wrestling that they do. And that's from the heart.
That's a great statement. Absolutely. And you can keep this in here. I just got a quick question for you in regards to the Austin and Owens showdown that we're going to see on Saturday night.
That's not bad. Because I have an idea I wanted to shoot off you about that as well. So please go ahead.
By chance, did you see Owens' last promo that he cut?
I didn't get a chance to. Monday night was a little weird for me. I was dealing with some personal stuff with a friend of mine. So, but what was the promo? I mean, I assume he just shit all over Texas again and Steve Austin.
No, he shit. It was probably one of my favorite promos that Owens ever cut.
I'll go back and watch it. So what happened?
I don't want to take away from it, but he was passionate. It was real. He was fired up, and it was like it was one of the better promos I think I've seen on WWE TV in a while. Hell, if you want to watch it now, I'll it's up to you, but.
I'll go back and we'll just give me the finer points. I'll watch it again. You can tell me right now, though. I don't mind. I want to get the content. I want to rather get the content out. We talk about it.
Yeah, listen. I'll just let you watch it. I don't want to go and spoil it, but because I'm not going to do it good. Give it due diligence there.
I had another question for you. This is hindsight. This is hindsight booking. Why not have Steve Austin and a mystery partner face Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens? And then the mystery partner could be Cody Rhodes. Then you can have Austin be in a match, but protect him. Just hopefully he doesn't blow his tricep out or whatever the fuck happened with Triple H. So Austin has to do more work.
Yeah, you know what? That would have been great, actually. Because then Cody's completely over. It's like Dusty Rhodes' son with Cody Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes' son with Stone Cold Steve Austin. That would have been excellent, man. In
Texas, where Dusty was raised, you have that connection. Cody's instantly over as a baby face. Not that he's going to have a problem getting over on his debut anyway, but I just thought it would have been a much interesting way to do it, and you can give Austin a match, and he can be protected. If he's in good enough shape where he can give a couple stunners out and throw a couple punches, which is all you need from Austin anyway at this point. Let Cody get the heat, give Austin the hot tag, then get a little heat, and then Cody gets a tag. Cody gets the actual pin. It would have worked out great, and that could have been your main event. And then everyone could have been wondering, But it is interesting what's happening now because you obviously would have known it was going to be Cody because there's no way Bray Wyatt was going to team up with Steve Austin. So now that we are kind of keeping ourselves guessing, I thought that if it was definitively going to be Cody Rhodes, I thought that would have been a little bit of a better way to go about it. But
Great
what
idea.
have you? We're going to get a nice KO show. But
And plus, and you know what? Plus, like, who would have, like, Seth Rollins would have sold that stunner beautifully, almost Scott Hall like.
love Scott Hall. Big ups to Scott Hall. So, all right, well, we have our picks done for WrestleMania, an exciting weekend. Check out Supercard of Honor tonight. When certainly going to be the main event is going to be John Gresham against, is he going up against Bandito and Chavo Guerrero Jr. in Bandito's corner. And then the other big match, of course, is going to be FTR versus the Briscoes for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. And I think we're both pulling for FTR there. And we gave you our WrestleMania picks. 4 matches called differently. Going to be very interesting. It could be a bloodbath for one of us. Folks, check out WrestleMania. Let us know what you think in the comments. Please follow me at HSCP Wrestling on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook, High Spots and Cheap Pops. And please do us a favor. We're going to be picking up the podcast on Spotify shortly. If this isn't on it, might be though. We'll got to check it out. We want to thank everybody for listening. This is WrestleMania weekend. VLADI Dottie, your final thoughts for WrestleMania 38.
Hey, enjoy the show. As we mentioned, the bar has been set low, so it can only go up from here. Have a great time and enjoy the weekend.
Here endeth the lesson here on High Spots and Cheap Pops.